36 minutes. I'm amazed. You're a superstar.
How much you play?
25.
Because you was in foul trouble.
Dude, bro.
Okay, once again, good evening, everybody. We are joined here by Maryland Terrapins head coach Brenda Frese, as well as student athletes Cheyenne Sellers and Diamond Miller. Again, a few reminders before we start. We're going to start with an opening statement from Coach Frese and then open it up for questions for the student athletes only. We will dismiss them once that's done, and then Coach Frese will be open for questions. Please wait for the microphone before you ask your question. Announce your name, news outlet, and specifically who you're directing your question to. Also, please refrain from any video recording of today's press conference. The video will be available at ncaa.veritone.com. And we have the Zoom press conference open, and we'll be taking questions via that. If you're on the Zoom, please use the raise hand function to indicate your desire to ask a question. With that, Coach Frese, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, just obviously loved our start, our intensity on the defensive end, which led to our offense. We started forcing 3 turnovers to begin the game. And then I thought, I don't know if it was Arizona's, intensity that ramped up. Maybe we relaxed a little bit in that second quarter. Obviously, the impact that Shy has and how important she is to us, that second foul impacted us greatly. So she's going to stay out of foul trouble here the rest of the time. But then, your All-American does what she's supposed to do. And I thought the third quarter, it was Miller time coming out, 9-0 to start the third. And like we've seen Diamond do so many times in this building, is just will her team. And I thought it started with her defense, the impact she was making there, to her offense. And they had no answer for her. So just really, really special to be able to get back to a Sweet 16 this journey. I'm happy for everybody in our program, our staff, these players. So many things that were unknown last year, and I know this group is not satisfied just to be able to get to the Sweet 16. I mean, this started with their work last summer and the trust and the belief that you see how much we love each other, how much we want to continue to keep playing on.
Okay, questions for the student athletes?
Hey, y'all. Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. This will be for Diamond. What was the conversation/message at halftime, and what kind of flipped where you kind of just came out to start that third quarter with your hair on fire?
Honestly, at halftime, we were just talking about how it's simple things that we're like messing up and that we could easily tweak. I mean, personally for me, I was just missing layups, and even Faith was like, "Come on, Diamond, you got to make that." And it was just like, yeah, I do got to make that, just simple stuff like that. And we realized that our defense in the second quarter definitely dropped, and that was probably mainly because we weren't scoring. So we still need to be consistent with our defense and stuff like that. So definitely tweaking some things.
Candace Buckner, Washington Post, for Shy. As Brenda was just saying, your impact. After watching Arizona go on that 10-0 run, you check back into the game. It looks like you were talking to yourself, probably a little peeved. But what was going through your mind, and what was your thought process when you want to get back on the floor with those 2 fouls?
I was really itching to get back on the floor. Every time B walked past me, I'm talking about, I won't foul, I won't foul, I won't foul, I won't foul. Try to get back on the floor. But honestly, just staying disciplined. I knew my team needed me, and I really didn't want to pick up that third foul in the second quarter heading into halftime. So just probably stay disciplined.
This is for Diamond and Cheyenne. This is Matt Trecanelli with Herb FM Sports Radio. And so just tell me about your performance, Diamond. I mean, you scored 24 points. It was a tremendous evening and everything. And Cheyenne, you scored 15 points. So both of you just talk about your points and the performance that you had, and also talk about what both of you are going to have to do to advance further into the tournament.
Diamond, if you want to start.
I think we just play hard every day. I don't think we really care about who's scoring or not. It just happened to be today. She had 15 and I had 24, but we don't know how the game is going to turn out when we step on the court, and we just make game reads and stuff like that. But yeah, we play Notre Dame, and I see that shirt, nice. And no, it's definitely going to be exciting to play them again, and we're going to watch film and scout on them, and we'll be prepared for film whenever, Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, probably Tuesday. I don't know.
By the way, go Terps.
Thank you.
For Diamond, Dylan Murphy, Testudo Times. Just curious, like when you start out slow in a game, what do you do mentally to like find your flow and get back into being the player that you ultimately know you are capable of?
That's when I like I said, when Faith was saying certain things, just having people be like, you got it. And when other people are saying you got it, you gotta be like, yeah, I got it as well. Like, I know I could do this. And one thing about me is just like, sometimes the ball just don't go in the basket. You know, you can't dwell on it. And luckily, I had a second half to regroup and continue to play basketball, and that's what I did. Yes and no. Faith helped, but I also knew I needed to play better for myself as well. Yeah.
Question for Diamond. Last game at the Xfinity Center as a Terp. What are kind of the emotions going through your head in this moment? And like when you leave the court and immediately go and hug Coach Frese, like what was your thought process right there? And how are you feeling after the game and kind of your whole senior year?
Of course, I'm biased, but I believe this is one of the best colleges to ever go to, university. I feel like every top player should come here. You're going to play with a wonderful coach and who lets you thrive at who you are. I remember in the recruitment process, everybody was like, you're a 4, you're a 5, be in the paint. And then coach was like, no, you're going to play your position you were playing in high school. So I just think she recruits you to be the person you were in high school and who you're going to be in college. So I think everybody should commit here, but I'm biased.
Ian Decker, the Dimeback. This is Shy. Start off the game, have like a full court pass to wide open Diamond, and then a couple minutes later you do the same thing and you do like this, and then you like blow on your hand. Can you just talk about kind of the vision, just kind of setting the tone offensively, like running the offense, dictating the tempo, and just plays like that when you make that pass, and you kind of do a little kind of that little thing to yourself.
Well, hopefully you didn't see that. But I just think it's important for us to push pace. We've been really working on when teams score on us, we got to get the ball out quick, running down their throats, keeping them on their heels. So I think that's just exciting. And obviously when I get my teammates involved and we're going on a run, it's always fun to add a little bit of flair to it. So it's just really great.
Yeah, hey, Diamond, Childs Walker with the Baltimore Sun. There was a moment in that last minute right after you went to the bench, you kind of sat down, you put your face in your hands for just a couple seconds. Was that was that kind of appreciating what you guys had done tonight? Was it taking in the whole weight of your career? I mean, what was in your mind in that moment?
I think it was like a lot of emotions. Like I was so happy that we're going to Sweet 16 again, and it's just like, this could be my last time playing here too, which is also like, wow, like 4 years goes by so quickly, and then when it's your last home game, you're like, wait, what does that mean? So yeah, it was definitely a surreal moment, but yeah, I definitely sometimes just need a second to like live in the moment, and I think that's what I was doing right there.
Brandon Ultra, the Sports Post. Shy, this is for you. Started the game with a block, had another one later in the game. You guys went off to that great start, held Arizona without a field goal, I think, until 4.5 minutes left. Just can you talk a little bit about setting the tone defensively there in the first quarter?
Yeah, setting the tone defensively is huge for us. It leads to our offense, so bringing that energy, making teams feel uncomfortable from the jump, really can set the tone and lay the path for the rest of the game. Obviously we laid off in the second quarter, which was not what we want to do, but just really setting the tone early really lets you establish how you're going to dictate the game, and you want to be the dictator, not being dictated.
As for Diamond, Jonah Schaefer, Baltimore Banner. I know, Diamond, you and Brenda have both talked about how after last season ended, you kind of in a way needed to be re-recruited back to the program. How would you just kind of describe how your relationship with Brenda has evolved over your 4 years, and how you've kind of come to I guess be more aligned with her in a lot of ways?
Yeah, our relationship has grown so much since freshman year. I just remember freshman year, I barely talked to her. I don't know, like I didn't want to. I was just like, yeah. But now I could easily just talk to her, text her. We have a good friendship, relationship, whatever, and yeah, it's good.
Sam Jane, Terrapin Sports Central for Shy. I was just wondering, obviously, Coach Barnes talked about how a lot of times, they know you guys switch everything 1 through 5, and so when they had Eliza, they were trying to get her kind of in the post and exploit that. When you're at the 1, do you kind of feel as maybe you guys are, obviously you have more length at that spot. How different is it as a defensive mentality when you're playing the point versus you at the 2, that type of thing? And what did you see out there when you were playing that lead guard spot?
I just think it makes it difficult for teams to exploit anything on us. When you have every person out there over 6 foot, I mean, it's pretty huge. And so you're not really going to get much, like a mismatch that you don't like. I mean, everyone has each other. Everyone can guard every position, so it's really not that big of a deal. So I think that's just a big factor for us, and being able to have that. You know what I'm trying to say.
We'll take one more question
you're
for the student
confused.
athletes, and then the locker room will be open.
Andrew Chodes at Pseudo Times. For both players, kind of, I think a theme throughout the season has been when you get into tough situations, a team makes runs, you guys always find a way to respond. That's kind of been sort of your identity. Is there a moment in the locker room, kind of more specifically, almost to Diamond, when you see her, kind of get angry? That's kind of when she's at her best. How are you guys able to respond, in these situations throughout, and then in a big spot like this?
Shy, if you could go first.
I just think, just talking in the locker room, we have 3 E's in our locker room: energy, effort, and what's the other one? Execution. Thank you. I knew that. I was just testing you guys. But that really helps us open up the conversation for where we think where those 3 things are. And then just positive talk. I mean, sometimes we're talking about what we need to do better, but honestly, just trying to regroup essentially is what our halftime is used for.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what she said, we just use that time to really regroup and try to execute the game plan.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, questions for Coach Frese.
Hey, Brenda. Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. So what was that message at halftime? What was the things that you kind of wanted to emphasize after those second quarter struggles?
Yeah, I think what they just said is we were making things a little bit more difficult. We kind of had that blueprint in the first half, and we kind of went away from that in the second quarter, or we had it in the first quarter, went away from it. I thought our shot selection kind of went away from us, which allowed them to, get easy runouts. Our defense started to kind of lag behind. So just keeping it simple and going back to what got us that big lead in the first quarter.
In addition to her halftime pep talk, Faith also was, I think, close to a season high in points tonight. And I think all of those came when the game was still very much in doubt. How important was her performance, not just scoring, but also being able to handle the ball?
She was, in my opinion, obviously, Diamond had to do a lot of that scoring, but she was our MVP. Faith just emptied the tank, and you saw that with the defensive effort she had to put on Reese, the toughness it displayed. Then all of a sudden, at times we're running for her in the press break to bring the ball up to run our offense. And you saw she was exhausted. That's what it looks like when you empty the tank and leave it all out there, and why she is the winner that she is.
Candace Buckner, Washington Post. Get a little nosy again. As Shy's leaving after that fourth foul, she's leaving the floor. You grab her and you talk to her. I was wondering what was the message and how has she handled tough conversations and
Yeah.
coaching this year?
Yeah, she's grown so much. Just wanted to make sure that she has to understand how much we need her on the court. So that's not a time to go for a block and put yourself in any kind of position, whether it was right call, wrong call. At that point, doesn't matter. It's putting her on the bench, which impacts, it hurts our team. So, you can coach her hard. I mean, that's why she's grown to be the player that she is for us, and teachable moment for her to be able to learn and grow from it.
Damon Brooks Jr., Tuxedo Times. Coach, in 2 quarters you all had you all allowed 8 points in 9 quarters from them. How important is it all for you all to establish consistency defensively, as you all move forward in the tournament?
Really important. A lot of these games are going to come down to defense and rebounding. So to be able to have 2 quarters like that in single digits where we can rely on our defense, especially sometimes for us this game, we turn the ball over a little bit more than we would like. So just understanding that we've got to be able to get back if we're not getting shots on the offensive end to be able to get stops defensively.
Hey, Coach. Olivia Janik from the Diamondback. I wanted to ask you about Diamond. It's her last game at Xfinity Center in her senior season, which has really been outstanding. What have you seen from her this year as not just a player, but also a leader for this team and kind of the star of this program right now?
Yeah, I think, first I'll say for Diamond is just her journey, right? When you look at her freshman year, her season was completed with COVID. She didn't get to go in the NCAA tournament, to the journey of her knee injury last year and having to battle through that, to having the game that she just finished with to leave Xfinity here with. So just as matured in so many ways. I think what makes her special this season is the trust. The old Diamond, even though she put the team on her back with the scoring, I mean, she had some really great passes tonight that really helped us to be able to widen that gap. And she's really learned how to trust everybody around her.
Hey, Coach Stillman for Testudo Times. Curious, at what points in the second quarter do you think the momentum shifted a little bit back and forth? Between the two teams, it seemed, going into halftime, they had a little bit of momentum. Then, coming out in the third, you guys really just, kicked it up a notch like you did to start the game.
Yeah, they did. I thought their defensive intensity ramped up. We started turning the ball over way too much. I was hesitant there within the last minute and a half whether I should call a timeout, as that momentum was really changing. And, I thought we had to kind of calm ourselves down. Losing Shy there was huge in that second quarter. But credit her, I thought that last, minute, 90 seconds after the timeout, she stayed aggressive and allowed us to go in at halftime just with a 1-point game.
Hey, Brandon. Jonas Shea for Baltimore Banner. There was a moment, I think, at the end of the third quarter as they're kind of, waiting for the buzzer to sound. Arizona has the ball, and you and Diamond, I think, share a laugh as you're just kind of waiting for something to happen. Do you remember that moment, first of all? And then second, just more big picture, how rewarding is it to have grown closer to Diamond over these 4 years to now where she has kind of come out of her shell and you can be, I guess, more direct with her as a leader?
Yeah. I can't remember that moment. I'll tell you my favorite moment of the game was that I wanted her to shade number ones to shade her to their right hand. So I was screaming it, and she heard me and then changed her stance to shade her left. So, and then I'm like, your other right. So it was a fun moment defensively. She got it. But those are the times that we've been able to really grow. I can coach her hard, and she doesn't take it personal. And, you can challenge her. She just wants to win. We both have so many common things from that competitive end. She just wants to win.
Gaby Ream, her Hoop Stats coach. You like to change up your presses throughout the game. I was just wondering, not specifically this game or specifically any opponent, is that something that you do based on feel of wanting to change it up, or is that schematic in terms of like when you do it?
It's both, and sometimes our kids have their own feel, so then it can look different as well. Sometimes I have to ask what we're in, but it's definitely, I'd say as our staff does such a great job of scouting, you have an idea of what you want to go after, but then in the game, that can change. So we base it off of that.
Hey, Coach. Sam Jane, Terrapin Sports Central. Was just wondering, it seemed as if the whole game you kind of had, a front on Kate and then, obviously someone as shading behind to prevent the over-the-top pass. What did you see, in scout and film prior to the game that thought you maybe could exploit that and maybe leave some shooters open for skip passes when it came to Arizona's offense?
Well, we knew from watching their game with West Virginia and with our switching D that they really were going to make an emphasis to go inside. I thought that was one of the best wrinkles our staff did was with our matchups, kind of being prepared for that. And she's really, really good. So just being intentional, you have to help off of certain players in order to be able to have that kind of inside-outside approach. And I thought they did a tremendous job. I mean, Reese was physical and battled the entire night, but I thought collectively the defense held true.
Hey, Coach. Ian Decker with the Diamondback. At the end of the game, as the final buzzer sounds, everyone's, obviously in good spirits, but two players in particular caught my eye, and it was Elisa and Abby, and they were kind of jumping up together, and, first time they've made it out of the second round. And we spoke during Selection Sunday, and, you said, oh, this day never gets old, going into the tournament with players maybe who haven't been able to experience that. Those two, and, also just the freshmen, Lav, Brene, you just talk about, that the joy, at least in this moment, of being able to bring this group to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, there's so many storylines, and that one is key because there was a lot of reasons why those players chose to come to Maryland. And, what you can say about all of them is that they sacrificed minutes, stats, all of it to win. And so just a cool moment to be able to have for those guys, for all of our returners. Our staff hasn't forgotten what those locker room meetings looked like last off season, and just the ability to trust and stay the course is, for all of it right now.
Brandon Alger of the Sports Pulse. I want to circle back to Shy and just kind of what she brings defensively. I think when she picked up her second foul and she went out of the game, Arizona went on a 19-7 run. Just can you talk a little bit more about what she brings to the defensive game plan?
That's great. I'm going to remind her of that, 19-7. We ask a lot of Shy. When you look at, she had to guard the best player with Pellington, one of the best players. She's such a hard matchup defensively. Starting out on her and then taking that pressure with the ball handling, running offense, and, oh, by the way, then score for us as well. So just really, really valuable to us. And obviously, clearly, someone we need to be able to have it on the floor so teams can't make those runs at us.
All right, we're going to take two more questions.
Hey, Brenda. Andrew Chodes for Studio Times. We've seen some really good environments throughout the season. This is the last game of the season. The crowd seemed really into it from the hop. And just how did that guys help you? When things got a little sticky back into the game, how was the environment? Today.
I thought the crowd was fantastic, and that's why you work so hard in a season is to kind of secure that home court in the first two rounds. It doesn't guarantee anything like you saw in the first half. But they were that kind of big boost and the energy that we really needed for a 40-minute game. So, just super grateful for having the best fans in the country.
Damon Brooks Jr., Testudo Times. Coach, as you all move to face Notre Dame next weekend, obviously Olivia Miles out for the season. What are you looking forward to, heading to next week's matchup, and what do you think it's going to take for you all to advance past Notre Dame?
Well, they're different now with the injuries that they've had, but you can see the success has remained the same. They're back in the Sweet 16 for a reason, and I watched when I've seen them even before this game. I mean, it's going to come down to defense and rebounding, which in March it usually does. So from our end, we're gonna have to, they're pounding it inside. They're big. It's bully ball. They're going to be aggressive, physical, use their size. They're playing 3-post players sometimes. So it'll be a tale of two different teams when you talk about 5 guards and 3 bigs on the court. So I'm just excited that we get another day to be able to scout and get our team, which I know will be fully prepared.
Coach, if I could get you to do one final question.
Coach, Matt Truccanelli with Herb FM Sports Radio. So you guys were trailing by 1 point at the half, and like the third quarter came around, and you guys shot 79% from the floor. So just tell me what happened and what transpired during halftime that you guys, they came out and shot 79%, and then which propelled them to the win.
I think they just started to trust the process. Again, I think it started with Diamond's lead and how aggressive she was, but then not only with her scoring, she made big plays for everyone else. I thought we started to share the basketball, settle in, less turnovers that allowed us to be able to take that lead.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah,
Great job.
good to see you.